What is the stupidest thing people brag about? Hours of work. We shouldn't be glorifying getting overworked. The only people who remember that you worked overtime are your kids and your wife. Getting away with a crime. There was a mass murder in the Chicago suburbs that went unsolved for 9 years, until one of the two perps told a new girlfriend about it and turned them in. I know a forensics expert, and she says 50% of their cases come from people in jail who are told, by the people who committed the crime, where the bodies are. Apparently, it's extremely common for people to get to jail, brag about where the bodies are buried to anyone that will listen, and then those people go immediately to their lawyers looking for a reduced sentence for that information. That's at least half of her cases. I'm a former cop, also did corrections for a while. We had a guy who killed his girlfriend and tried to plead insanity. A groupie of his sent letters, talked on the phone, and came to visit every day. Note, killers have groupies, it's a thing for some reason. Anyways, this chick was very clearly turned on by the fact he was a murderer, and so to impress her he talked about his crime at length on the phone, in letters, and in visits. These are all recorded. We open, read, and photocopy all non-legal mail. Our phone system and visiting room intercom is recorded. Both systems begin every meeting with an automated recording stating, "This is a recorded line, these communications are recorded." He not only confessed every single detail of his crime to her, but that he was faking his mental illness, how stupid the judges and lawyers were, and his detailed plans to do it again when he got out. These were played in court at his hearing. He is in prison for life now. Yep, a guy I knew in forensics said the same. Most of his work was linking an already identified suspect to the crime, and the rest was just processing evidence in case a suspect gets identified later. That's how pretty much all murders are solved, a third party aiding the murderer. Police detectives are not so much Sherlock Holmes as they are a cop in a suit passing out business cards hoping they find someone to drop a dime on the perp. The show The First 48 emphasizes how the first 48 hours are critical to a murder investigation, but really all that means is that if someone doesn't rat out the killer in the first couple days, it's just not going to happen. 1. How little sleep they got. 2. How late they stayed at work. 3. How much they drank. 4. How many people they've fucked. There was this guy at work who used to go on about getting shit-faced and banging bitches. I really don't get people who think that kind of trash talk impresses other people. When I found out weeks later that the guy was married and had a kid, I just thought he was contemptible. My brother has been with an ungodly number of women. I know because I lived with him for a semester, and there was a figurative revolving door. He would literally ask me to lock my bedroom door so he could leave the apartment door open in case random women wanted to stop by in the middle of the night. Anyway, the point is he never talked about it with other people. Friends would stop by. They would brag about being with this or that girl. My bro never said a thing unless someone specifically asked if he'd been with someone. I feel like the more you're talking about it, the less you're actually doing it. A college friend used to tease me because my girlfriend and I had only been with each other, and he's been with something like 30 women in a series of one-night stands. He kept going on about how embarrassing it was. I generally ignored him, but once my girlfriend snapped, "Have you ever wondered why I stuck around while every girl you're with walks away from the table after one serving? I wouldn't brag if I were you." That shut him up permanently. Never bragged again. Anything to do with hustle culture. While you got shitty sleep under your desk? I was comfortable in my bed, haha, a strange flex. I sleep 4 hours a night, good for you, man, have a nice migraine. Guys who brag about being built different. Sure, dude. You have a beard, a full sleeve tattoo, and a pickup truck. You're so different. I'm built different. My bones are apparently 3% more dense than average. So technically my body is built different than the average. Not sure how it helps me, of course, but it's there. I'm in the same boat, but seemingly maybe more so. And no one believes, or cares for that matter, but when you look 160 and weigh 200, people do get confused. Had a work accident, and the DR looked at the x-rays and said, "Oh, you're one of these people." I don't know if you're lucky or not. If you had normal bone density, you'd have a skull fracture. Instead, you have a horrible concussion and whiplash, and my wife was finally in the room for that diagnosis, and was pissed that she thought I was lying for years. Membership in the Extra Dense Bone Club gets you a bonus to your durability stat, but balances that by increasing the chances of soft tissue injuries and bumping up the challenge level for the swimming skill. At least that's how it works for me. Why break a collarbone when you can blow apart an AC joint instead? Who needs to swim when you can just take a deep breath and walk across the bottom? Being an alpha. Sorry, homeboys, if you feel the need to announce it, you ain't it, and you know that. Margaret Thatcher said it best. If you have to tell someone you are, you aren't. Internet fame. My bird is famous. Me? Not so much. I have over 200k Reddit karma. Do you love me yet? Intelligence. The dumber they are, the more they brag. Family money. Especially in college. Yeah, bro, that yacht you're showing off is totally yours. Worked with a guy at a bank that would pull the family's, his, boat around town with no intention of taking it to the lake. A boat that fits on a trailer isn't even worth bragging about, lol. How drunk or high they get. Bonus points if they're a perfect driver under the influence. No, you're a cunt. Reminds me of this one lady that I was getting a haircut from. She was laughing about how she had something like 7 fucking DUIs. Shit's crazy. Probably the only time I haven't tipped for a haircut. She did a fine enough job on the cut, but I wasn't about to help fund her 8th DUI. Did a rec league recently. I always Uber because I expect to throw a few back. Game 1. Some player on our team saw me Uber and asked, "Oh, so you have DUIs too?" No, I just am strict with myself when it comes to drinking and driving. Being uneducated. I once got some books on leadership delivered at work. I'm not a manager, I just find managing interesting. A manager saw the books and asked what they were about, and I told him that they were on leadership. He told me leadership books are nonsense, and that leadership is just about making a choice and then act on that, because it's mostly the correct thing to do, and that the people who write these because know nothing. This guy has 30 people on his team, lol. I'm not sure if it's intended so, but people talk about their mental issues like it's a flex. It's not a flex, it's a disease. As a mental health professional who also has a couple of diagnoses myself, thank you. It is not a flex, it never should have become a trend, and it isn't a special unicorn pass to just act however you want. I really hope we close the gap soon between compassion and enabling, between discompassion and ableism. I hate how everyone brags about having depression and anxiety 24/7 because it invalidates people who actually suffer through it and have to pretend otherwise so they don't make others feel uncomfortable. This bothers and damages especially other people with mental diseases. So I totally agree with you. Being depressed, anxious, borderline, ADHD are all conditions that can severely impact your life for the worse. It's not something that makes you quirky, either unique, and it invalidates so much the gravity of the illness, which leads to people being dismissed when they reach out for help. I'm the first one that makes jokes about my illness sometimes, but it's a way to cope, not a flexing thing. Money. From what I've read, family gets greedy and entitled. It's best to keep your mouth shut about money to every family member. Not being a fan of popular things. I've never seen an episode of Game of Thrones and I never will. Oh, you're so interesting and special. When a man says he lasts for hours in bed, no girl wants to be pounded for hours. I can last for hours in bed. Sometimes I can get through the whole night without getting up to pee. That's one thing I love about my partner. She's so good in bed. She barely tosses and turns and never kicks me or anything. How much they drink. These are usually the same people who freak out about weed. Oh, I drank like 8 beers last night. But loses their mind when they learn you smoked weed at one point or another. Same people that also freak out if you don't drink because you take medication for your mental health. They are like, dump the pills, that nasty stuff. Have some Negroni instead. A guy at work bragged about getting a BMW. For a fact he makes less than I do, and it would financially irresponsible for me to get that car. Have fun being broke all the time. A guy who lived in the basement suite of a house I used to live in got a Mercedes, not sure of the model. I had just returned from a grocery run on my bicycle and he was outside with his car. I commented on him having gotten a new car, as he had a beat-up old Toyota prior to this thing, which I had helped him change batteries and oil on because he didn't know how. He was talking about how fast the Mercedes was, and I joked that it was probably a bit quicker than my bike, and he says, "Yeah, and it's way more expensive too." All I could do was laugh at him while he stood there trying to look superior. I thought he was joking, but the look on his face said otherwise. I wonder how long he'll be able to make his payments. Never having read a book, not having read a book since they left school. That's just not an achievement at all. It's not hard to do, and there is no good in not doing it. I wouldn't say people who read are necessarily more educated, but apart from the chance to educate you, it is simply another hobby. I've never seen anyone brag, "Oh, I haven't visited a theater since school," or "I haven't done archery since we had it in school." It's just nothing to brag about. Look at this picture of me next to this animal I just shot. That they don't know things. I'm shocked how many people are proud not to know simple math we are all taught. How they come to work even when they have a cold. What is the stupidest thing people brag about? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.